Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for some tag time. As you can see, I've already been playing after I created these little glass pebble and circle ephemera for a few minutes of fun on Saturday. If you haven't seen that, I'll link down below. I couldn't resist starting to have a little bit of a play with them. As we've been discussing in the comments below that video, of course, if you don't have the glass pebbles, you could, on one of the ones you've cut just as a circle, you could use clear embossing powder on that. Just use some clear embossing ink, put on the clear embossing powder and heat it, especially if you've got UT ultra thick embossing powder. You'll get a lovely thick cover, or you could use the glossy accents we were using to glue them. You can use that over the top as a glaze, which will also give you a bit of dimension. I mean, I have lots of these lying around. There are plastic versions around, but I tend not to go for plastic if I can avoid it. And because I've got these are what I'm using. I've also got some of the, I think we created these tags and backgrounds with distress inks and oxides on the gel plate. That was a video from maybe almost a year ago. I can't remember. So that's another one that I'll link. And although I've said it's tag time, I think I'm sort of tempted to work with some of the ones that I haven't actually cut into tags at the moment. So they're just panels. These are leaves from the autumn backgrounds and autumn die cutting video that we made. And I made so many in that video that they actually haven't been used yet. So there is a touch of autumn in the air again today. That's just where they've been being stored in an old Amazon bigger packaging. And what else is on the desk? Oh, these glorious Fairies of Fall printables by Art House Whimsy. So yeah, I just grabbed one of those panels and I started having a little play with some leaves, some circles, some of the leftover labels that we've also got from label making. Gosh, so many videos for you, for you to go and check out. And for me to remember to link down below. So I had already been playing, and then I thought, well, I should probably just switch the camera on and let you join in with the fun that I'm having here. I sort of decided that she's the partner piece for this one. Lots of beautiful images on these pages that will come into play once we get to autumn. I was also thinking that I might want to just intensify the colour on some of these leaves on the images themselves, just so they really tone in with what we've got going on. So I need my little silicone craft mat, because if I'm going to start doing some inking, that will be necessary. None of this is glued down yet. This is all just sort of temporary checking out what I might like to have happen. And I also, yeah, I've got a couple of inks out already that I want to experiment with. I feel like there was something under there. What are you? Oh, that's where we stamped something on the, yeah, that's one of the Tim Holtz labels, and she's got a butterfly there, so I was just interested in that butterfly. I think most of that stayed pretty much where I was thinking I'd like it. And then, yes, I haven't really decided. I sort of like the simplicity of that and the busyness of that. It's quite nice. I do want a second one. Ah, look, it might be that. Just to create something a little different. What about the evening purple? That's the most similar in terms of the kind of textures in the background. But I'm not that keen on that purple. So I think it's going to be that. And I think what I might do, pretty sure that's maybe some Uncharted Mariner going on in the back there. Might be ink, might be oxide. Where's the Uncharted Mariner oxide? So I'll pop a little bit of each onto the mat. And this is just my way of, when I've got two backgrounds and I want them to play together and they don't necessarily contain all of the same colours, I will just get myself a little bit of something that's going on here and just let it come to play on this lower corner here. So that's Uncharted Mariner in both ink and oxide, and it's just giving me a little touch of those blues that are happening up there are also now happening over on this tag here. There is the teensiest bit of blue already going on up there, but I think that's just giving me something that allows these two tags to speak to each other more closely. I'm sort of tempted to add that. No, those two go beautifully together colour tone wise, so I think we'll keep those as a thing. And yeah, for once I might just be going to mop up that ink. There isn't very much of it. So that gives me a little balancing act going on there. So now let's have a little experiment with, as I said, maybe looking at tinting these leaves just a little bit. I've printed them on fairly decent paper, these printables. They're not on plain copy paper. They're in fact on this paper pad that I bought in Berlin when I was working there earlier this year. And it's not fabulous for using wet media with, but what it does do rather nicely is allow me to print on it, and it's quite good quality card, I mean, it's not sturdy, but it's strong paper. Just thinking about rusty Hinge, which I think is the colour which is around on quite a lot of these leaves, and maybe the water brush, and just adding some little extra, yes, you see, look, that just intensifies that leaf rather beautifully. I'm not going to do all of them, I don't think, and means that it really, really does tie in with the one that I've added around the edges, the die cut versions. As I said, this paper is not brilliant with wet media, so I definitely don't want to overload it. And I do love the subtle sepia look as well, but that just gives me a little more depth in those images, which I think is quite a nice way of tying into the leaves. So this beauty over here needs some leafy loveliness. Let's see, do we maybe want, that's quite a large leaf, but it's rather gorgeous. Maybe one of those. Let's have a little dig around it here. Oh, don't need that now. Done with you. Couple more leaves. Some of these have got beautiful shimmer spritz on, so they really do catch the light rather beautifully, which is why I think they're a lovely companion to our glass pebbles, which also catch the light rather beautifully. Let's see if I can find, yeah, so she's got one of these lovely skeleton leaves, so I feel like she deserves a little skeleton leaf as well. And there are a couple of little ones over here, little teeny tinies. Let me see if I can find a couple of teeny tinies. We've got a book page one. There's a gorgeous book page one here, look. I've forgotten all these leaves. They've been tucked away, out of sight, out of mind, for months, because I just, as you'll know, my crafting is very seasonal, and even though I made all these leaves for autumn crafting, I evidently didn't get as much done as I thought I might that year, and so they've been sitting patiently waiting for it to be autumn again. That's rather good. Okay, time for labels. So some of these labels are my PaperArtsy ephemera, stamped quite often with, I think I used the Matints to tint some of these, the gorgeous tinted glazes, which give you a transparent, completely transparent tinting, which means you get to keep all the lovely detail. I'm really enjoying these cut out leftover bits as well, so I have a feeling a couple of those are going to make it onto here. There were some of these cuts that didn't quite get a full circle because they were right at the edge of the paper, but that's fine because one can put them at the edge like so. Rather enjoying that as a little game. Maybe that way around, and then we've got, yeah, that might be the way to do it. Little bold one here, and of course she's got a glass bauble, so I think she needs a glass bauble, something like that. What are we missing? maybe labels. Maybe a squarish. Oh, I was wondering about the butterfly, wasn't I? Yeah, no, don't think so. Not today, Josephine. Let's see. There's lovely Albin Forstel, who I like a lot. Maybe I could find a slightly more neutral label. Oh, look, that's maybe what we want. That's quite nice. There we go. And she's up. I think we might want to shift you down a little further so that we've got that lovely balancing act of up-down going on. And maybe that needs to be a slightly larger green circle, like so. So this is what I mean about the circles. They just have this wonderful bubble joy to them that excuse me, means you create, I don't know, a little bit of magic as you add them. Bubbles of positivity and hope, and goodness knows we need those right now. Don't want to cover up too much of her beauty there, so I might change over those two labels. And then really it's words and sticking down, isn't it? Really, I'm enjoying these a lot. I have got a couple of stamped words. There goes the little train. Imagine. Imagine. I mean, it is about using your imagination. That one tipping off there, that one tipping off there. That's quite nice. One in blue, one in brown. Maybe, yeah, because we've got more blue here, so this wants the blue word. Covering up quite a lot of that ephemera. Yeah, I think it might be that, you know. Yeah, gluing down time. So for the glue, as usual, I'm going to be using my Cosmic Shimmer. It's just an acrylic glue. Any white acrylic glue will do for this. And in the long run, because I've got these glassy baubles, just looking at maybe swapping out. Yeah, that's better because it shows up better against here. Because I've got these glassy baubles, obviously they're quite weighty. I will, in the long run, glue these down to a bit of waste cardboard packaging to give them a bit more heft, a bit more presence in the world. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. So I think, as I did with maybe it was last week's tag time, I'm going to just put a few dots of glue behind pertinent places to hold them approximately where I want them, and then come back and do some more detailed gluing. There are just things I want to make sure stay where they are. So that's just a little dot of glue behind the image there. I want, oh look, so again, that one just has a slimmer look to it. No, I want the brighter green over here. So it's about colour and about shape. Both of those things matter. It was tucked behind, but I'm rather liking it in front, so I'm going to do that. There were a couple of little baubles up here, weren't there? A book page one coming in that direction, and this lovely little Gazette one, which, although it's got a bit snipped off, is too good to leave out. Going to pop these couple of leaves down approximately where they were. So at this point, trying to get things exactly where you had them simply might not work. Sometimes they end up in a slightly less satisfactory place. Sometimes they end up in a more satisfactory place, and you just got to live with it. As you can see, I'm not gluing down the whole of the leaves. I'm gluing down sort of edges, because what I want to be able to do is lift up the edges of those leaves for extra texture. Let's pop that there. I could turn that around to lose the sort of chopped off bit, but I really like that blue spot, so I'm not going to. this is coming here, a little bit further over than it was just now, so that we clear her face for everyone to see. Enjoying those bubbles. Okay, now things get a bit tricky because all these leaves are layered together so that I can see them. Once I've done this one, I'm probably going to switch the cameras off to glue down the other, because you don't need to watch me gluing things down all day. So this leaf, I like the position of that, so I'm going to get that in. This leaf, I like the position of that, so I'm going to get that in. And I love that these leaves will just poke up, shimmer, move, shift a little bit. That's quite important because we don't want it over her face. So the positioning of that matters. Positioning of that matters because I like it sort of half on the background and half not. So then the leaves can kind of make their way round that afterwards. Let's have a look at whether we want you to go in that direction. Yeah, I think pointing downwards is good. It's got a sort of energy to it, that leaf. Lovely jagged edges. And then one more, yes. So this is just a sort of tumble of leaves fallen off the trees at the bottom, lying in a little leafy pile. That's all quite enjoyable. And then, as I say, I'm gonna glue all of this down. Ah, look, I didn't really stay in touch with what I might want to do with Imagine. We'll come back to the words at the end. I'm going to glue this down and probably glue them onto some cardboard so that I've got my lovely sturdiness back in a sec. So here we are, cut, glued down, trimmed round. The panels themselves weren't the straightest in the world because they were all hand cut. If you like to measure things, draw lines, use guillotines, please go ahead. I'm a fan of random messiness, imperfection. So yeah, you'll never, don't come here for perfect measurements and handed out numbers and so on and so forth. I'm just fiddling with some last little bits. This leaf is good on both sides, but I've just noticed it's got this lovely burnt orange on the back, which I think is going to be the thing that I want just down in this corner. This one. So the glass baubles I haven't glued down yet. I think I'm probably going to do that with the glossy accents, just because, again, I like the immediacy with which it tends to dry. If it's open, no, okay. So I use my little Tim Holtz. These are photo hooks, ideology photo hooks, but I find them tremendously useful pointy tools. The nib of my glossy accents is now so ancient. No, still not air coming through. So ancient that it's almost disintegrating. Nope, still no air. So this is one of the games. There we go. You might be able to hear that. So that's just going to go on the back of here. Clear glue, immediate glue. Just brilliant. I love it. And onto there. So those, although everything else is in very different positions, those have ended up in beautiful symmetrical relationship with one another. I think I want maybe just a touch of inking around the edge. I'm not quite sure what colour, maybe Vintage Photo. So it is a glorious sunny day today. It's quite chilly. There's a definite sort of tinge of autumn in the air, but it's due to warm up again. And we do frequently get very glorious Septembers and Octobers. So just because I've got a few autumn leaves and a few autumn colours going on at the moment, don't think it's all over for summer. It isn't. The late summer blooming in the garden is glorious at the moment. If you don't know about my secondary Instagram account at Bohemian Home, you can see some of my amazing roses in their second blooming of the year. And I think some of them are going to get to a third, to be honest, because, yeah, there should be still quite a lot of good weather to come. I do want a little bit of spatter on these. And what I'm thinking is maybe I'd like a little bit of the Salvaged Patina Oxide along with Tumbled Glass, which is a beautiful pale oxide. So these are chalky opaques, so they should create quite a nice visible spatter, yeah, on some of these leaves. Where they've got shimmer, it's going to sink in, so not too worried about that. But again, it's just about tying things into those backgrounds. A little bit more detail on this one that is a much plainer textured background. It just gives us a little bit more delight. I do quite like, as you know, hitting those glass baubles with a little bit of... So I don't know if you can see on this very shimmery leaf, that ink has sunk straight in, whereas on this one, the matte surface, it's giving us a lovely little look. And because I don't want to waste that, I've got some watercolour paper here. I'm just going to smoosh that through here and pick up those inks. Why not? If I had a water spray, where's my water spray vanished to? Probably fallen over somewhere. No, that's vinegar. Don't spritz that. That one I think is water. Let's hope so anyway. I do sometimes put random things in these little spray bottles that are sitting around. Let's pick up the rest of that onto some more of this. There's always scrap paper lying around. So they'll be lovely just for maybe die cutting some blue leaves or some silhouette birds. Backgrounds, done. Right, where was I? Oh, yes. I can't do without, just going to pop my little circles back in my circle tin. So I've now got a circle tin. I've got a label tin, which has also got eggs in. Maybe the eggs should live in the circle tin. That would make more sense, because they're definitely not labels. They're eggs. So they're waiting for spring now. I don't think I'll be using many eggs before it comes to spring. That's the speckled egg video. Oh, look, there's another one I should link for you if you want to see the speckled eggs being made. That's a lot of linking. We'll see. As long as you're going to go and visit them, I don't mind taking the time to link them. White paint spatter is what I'm actually after. I don't think I want to go full on white. So there are lots of lovely off-whites in the PaperArtsy stable. This is Cloud 9, which is sort of a chalky ceramic white, I would say. And I think that's going to be the white spatter that I want for this. I'm going to try avoiding getting too much on the faces, because I don't want to detract from their beauty. If you get in there quickly enough, as you saw, you can. So this is just a touch of autumn frost probably, but I particularly, as you know, want to hit those glass baubles, because it really gives you the sense of the dimension of them if you hit them with a bit of spatter. That's just creating that extra last little bit of life. That's a lot of paint. What should we do with that? Quite like to stamp in it. Have I got a stamp set nearby? I'm going to worry about that in a minute. I'll mop up that paint in some useful sort of way before diving in for a close-up. But I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of, not quite tag time, panel time today. Oh, words, look. Is it still Imagine? Down in that little corner? And maybe up in that little corner? I think it might be that. I don't really now want to cover up too much of my leafy loveliness. That's the thing. Maybe I don't need words at all. Ooh, controversial. I'll have a think. You'll have to wait for the close-up to see whether I've decided to use those or not. Thanks so much for your company, as always. If you've enjoyed today's video, do give it a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, I would love to have your company on this creative journey. And yes, look in the description down below for links to all those videos I've been talking about that are the elements making up these tags today. I will, of course, have an ingredients list listing as much as I can remember of what we've used today. I'm going to pop these leaves back in my leafy envelope, and you'll be seeing some more of that as the season progresses, I'm sure. Thanks so much for your company all, and happy crafting.